We used to get hung on trees,
Yep.
just like black people.
Yep.
We're the same. We used to
Yep.
get all the shit. We used to get hung for the dumbest things, homie.
Yeah.
For correcting a little white kid on not using bad language. For looking at a white lady wrong. They would take you and hang you on a tree, throw a party, throw a whole barbecue, homie.
Yep.
You know, they're not the only ones that went through slavery and
Yeah.
captivity. You know, we
Yeah.
actually the ones that went into captivity first in 1492.
Yep. I mean, it's true. I mean, well, but I mean, technically speaking, didn't the Native Americans were the first ones to actually demand reparations? That's why they got land and they got money and they got their reservations because they demanded that they should at least get some land.
Certain ethnicities have banded together to ask for stuff like that, but the only reason why the North American Indian tribes, because they stuck together, bro. Like, you know, they came together. They actually stood their ground. They had shootouts with, you know, law enforcement.
Yeah.
You know, over pipelines and over, you know, them just trying to throw them off the land, homie.
Yeah.
You know, they created their whole policing system.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 50, and verse 33. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. Shalom. First off, I want to give all honor, all glory, and all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone GMS. That Taurus' word. Shalom to the elect, beginning with the 144,000 who were chosen from the foundation of the earth, and to all you brothers that preach this truth in sincerity and in truth, may peace and mercy be bestowed upon you. This is the brother Halal from the Great Millstone Camp down there in Chicago, coming at you with another lesson in truth and sincerity. And this lesson is going to be about how, you know, everything that this man was talking about. How the Northern Kingdom, which consists of the so-called Latinos and Native Americans, went through all the same things that you Judites, Benjaminites, and Levites went through. And that we were all, you know, in captivity under the same people that refused to let us go. So I'm going to start this off. Pull up some info real quick. Because, you know, in that TikTok video, he mentioned something interesting. You know, something that many people still don't know, and that the Native Americans, you know, went into slavery before Judah did. Now, I'm going to read this piece of information here. It says, Christopher Columbus, which his true name is Cristobal Colon, and other European colonizers enslaved many indigenous people in the Americas after his arrival in 1492. Colon believed the indigenous people he encountered would be ideal slaves, and he forced them to work on plantations in search of gold. He also sent thousands of Taino people to Spain to be sold, with many dying during the journey. The English, French, Dutch, and Portuguese also enslaved indigenous people. Spain became the greatest enslaver of indigenous Americans because it controlled most of the populated regions of the Americas and lacked access to African slaves. Then this other one says, Native American slavery is a piece of slavery that has been glossed over. Fisher said between 1492 and 1880, between 2 and 5.5 million Native Americans were enslaved in the Americas, in addition to 12.5 million African slaves. Which the Southern Kingdom are not Africans, man. We're the Israelites, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Judah being the so-called Negroes, Benjamin being the West Indians, and Levi being the so-called Haitians. But it tells you that the Northern Kingdom went into captivity before the Southern Kingdom did. Let's go to the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 13, and let's go to verse 40. And it says, those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Salmanasar the king of Assyria led away captive. And he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. But they, talking about the northern kingdom of Israel, took this counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt, that they might also keep their statutes which they never kept in their own land, And they entered into the Euphrates by the narrow places in the river, for the Most High then shewed signs for them, and held still the flood until they were passed over. For through the country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half, in the same region is called Asareth. And that land of Azareth is talking about what? The land of America. So these scriptures are telling you that the northern kingdom of Israel fled from the Assyrian captivity, by going through the river of Euphrates and going all the way into what we now know as the Western Hemisphere. Verse 46, then dwelt they there until the latter time, and now when they shall begin to come. So the northern kingdom fled into what is known as the Americas, man, in order to what? Flee from that captivity. And later on, Esau came over there, Christopher Columbus, and enslaved the Native Americans, were killing the women, the men, raping, robbing, and murdering. The same thing that happened to the Negroes over 200 years later. Let's go to the book of 2 Kings. The book of 2 Kings, chapter 17, and I'll start at verse 5. And it says, then the king of Assyria went throughout all the land and went up to Samaria and besieged it for 3 years. In the 9th year of Hosea, the king of Assyria took Samaria and carried Israel away into Assyria and placed them in Halah, in the harbor by the river of Gozan, and in the cities of the Medes. For it was so that the children of Israel had sinned against Yahweh, their God, which had brought them up out of the land of Egypt from under the hand of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, and had fear of the gods, and walked in the statutes of the heathen, whom Yahweh cast out from before the children of Israel, and the kings of Israel which they had made. And the children of Israel did secretly those things which were not right against the Lord their God, and they built them high places in all their cities, from the tower of the watchman to the fenced city. So I'm just reading this out of the scriptures as well to, let you know that after, the northern kingdom served their captivity, they fled into what we now know as the Western Hemisphere. They fled into America, and that's when, the Native Americans, spread all over America with different tribes. Like, for example, you had Reuben down in Florida, the so-called Seminole Indians. You had different tribes, the Cherokees, expanding across America in places like Oklahoma, North and South Dakota, until Esau came over and put them back in slavery. Let's go to the book of Hosea. The book of Hosea, chapter 7 and verse 8. And this is talking about the tribe of Ephraim, but in reality, it's really talking about the entire northern kingdom in general. This is the book of Hosea, chapter 7 and verse 8. It says, Ephraim, he hath mixed himself among the people. Ephraim is a cake not turned. So to break that down, if you're cooking a pancake and you keep the pancake on one side and you don't flip it over, you're going to have one side that's going to be extremely burnt, which is going to be darker than the other half, and you're going to have another half that's going to end up being even lighter. So check this out. Let's look up this Puerto Rican boxer by the name of Felix Trinidad. This right here is the Ephraimite boxer, which, the Ephraim, those are the people that are known as the Puerto Ricans today. But as you can see, this so-called Puerto Rican looks no different from the Southern Kingdom. If you were to catch him in a notorious, black Judite city like Detroit, you would assume that this was a so-called black person, man. And this shows you, although the Israelites were scattered among all nations, and you have some that are lighter and darker, this shows you that we're the same people, because we went through the same things and we were enslaved by the same oppressors, man. So I'm going to end this off. I don't want this lesson to be too long. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 16 and verse 14. And it says, therefore, behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that it shall no more be said, the Lord liveth that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. But the Lord liveth, which brought up the children of Israel out of the land of the north, and from all the lands whither he hath driven them, and I will bring them again into the land that I gave their fathers. And what is the land of the north? Babylon, aka America. The place that the northern kingdom, which consisted of Latinos and Native Americans, and you so-called Negroes, were enslaved in, which proves the prophecy of Jeremiah 50 and 33. I'm actually going to end this off what I believe is Jeremiah 3 and 18. Matter of fact, I'll start at verse 16. And it says, matter of fact, verse 15, I will give you pastors according to my heart, which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding. And it shall come to pass when ye be multiplied and increased in the land, in those days, saith the Lord, they shall no more say the ark of the covenant of the Lord, neither shall it come to mind, neither shall they remember it, neither shall they visit it, neither shall that be done any more. And at that time they shall call Jerusalem the throne of the Lord, and all the nations shall be gathered unto it. So this right here is talking about ultimately, when the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of Yahweh Shai and the Israelites is ultimately established. The scripture said that all nations will flow unto the fountain of the Lord and receive the law, statutes, and commandments by the Lord and by his people. And all the nations shall be gathered unto it, the name of the Lord, to Jerusalem, neither shall they walk any more after the imagination of their evil heart. Right, so these heathen are going to have to bow down. And if they choose not to, Isaiah 60, I believe. If they choose not to serve the Lord, bring them hither and slay them before me. But this next verse is the point. It says, in those days the house of Judah shall walk with the house of Israel, and they shall come together out of the land of the north to the land that I have given for an inheritance unto their fathers, man. So, the northern kingdom fled from Assyria into the land of the north, and the tribe of Judah, who fled to West Africa, were eventually brought into the land of the Americas as slaves, man. So we were both oppressed in the land of the north, and we're gonna leave and come into the land of our fathers, man. When Yahweh Bashim Shai restores his righteous kingdom. So everything that this man said is 100%
and they don't
true. We are the same people because we went through all of the same things, man. So with that, I want to give all honor, glory, and praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone Geometric Rule Well, Shalom, and Kwam Masharala and the Bible Ball. I'll see you all on the next lesson.